Have you ever noticed that after turning 70, life doesn't feel the same anymore? Not necessarily worse, not always painful, but heavier. You wake up and everything seems to require more effort. Getting out of bed takes a moment longer. Walking to the kitchen feels like a small task instead of an automatic movement. Even deciding what to do with the day feels like work. Nothing dramatic has happened, yet something inside has shifted. Many people over 70 feel this, but they rarely say it out loud. If they mention it, someone might respond, "That's just age," as if that explains everything. But the feeling goes deeper than age. It's not just about numbers, it's about changes, physical, emotional, social, and even spiritual, that slowly reshape how life feels. First, the body changes quietly. It doesn't collapse, it doesn't suddenly stop working. It simply asks for more cooperation. Muscles are not as strong. Balance requires more attention. Energy must be managed instead of assumed. You begin thinking ahead. If I go out this morning, will I be too tired tonight? If I carry this bag, will my shoulder ache tomorrow? These calculations run silently in the background all day. Even that mental planning becomes tiring. You may notice that recovery takes longer. A busy afternoon can require a full day of rest. Sleep may not refresh you the way it once did. You might wake up stiff, not because you did something wrong, but because the body now repairs itself at a slower rhythm. This constant adjustment, this need to move more carefully and deliberately, adds weight to daily living. It's not weakness, it's adaptation, but adaptation requires effort. Then there is loss. By 70, most people have said goodbye to someone they deeply loved. A spouse, a friend, a sibling, a neighbor. Sometimes the loss happened recently, sometimes decades ago. But absence does not disappear with time. It settles quietly into the background of life. You still hear their voice in your memory. You still remember how they laughed. You still think, they would have enjoyed this. Even on good days, that absence remains. Loss does not always show itself through tears. Often it appears as silence. An empty chair at the table, a phone that no longer rings from a familiar number, the feeling that the people who truly understood your younger years are no longer here to share memories with you. Carrying memories is beautiful, but carrying absence is heavy. Another reason life feels heavier after 70 is the change in purpose. For decades, you were needed every day. You worked, you provided, you solved problems, you raised children. Your schedule was full and structured. People relied on you. Now the structure may be gone. There are fewer urgent calls, fewer responsibilities. Freedom sounds wonderful, and sometimes it is, but when your role changes too much, identity can feel uncertain. Without clear purpose, days stretch longer. You may ask yourself, what am I supposed to do today? Human beings need more than comfort. They need meaning. When meaning becomes unclear, life can feel weighty. It's not boredom exactly. It's the quiet question of significance. Do I still matter in the same way? Even if the answer is yes, the feeling may not always follow. Memory also becomes stronger after 70. The mind travels backward more often. You remember childhood, your early career, your wedding day, the first home you owned. Sometimes these memories bring warmth and gratitude. Other times they bring regret. You replay decisions. You think about missed chances. You wonder what might have happened if you had chosen differently. This is natural. Reflection is part of aging, but reflection can become heavy when the past feels larger than the future. There is also a new kind of worry that appears at this stage of life. It is quieter than the worries of youth, but more persistent.
You worry about independence. You think about falling. You think about what would happen if you could no longer drive. You might hesitate before asking for help because you do not want to become a burden. Even if your family reassures you, the thought still lingers. That quiet concern follows you throughout the day, and carrying concern every day adds weight. The world itself feels different too. Technology moves quickly. Conversations feel faster. Everything is online, automated, updated. You can learn it, of course, but learning requires energy. Sometimes you feel embarrassed asking someone to explain something simple. Sometimes you pretend to understand so you don't slow others down. That gap between the speed of the world and your own pace can feel isolating, and isolation, even subtle isolation, is heavy. Social circles naturally shrink. Some friends are gone, others move away. Driving long distances may feel unsafe. Invitations become fewer, or you decline them because you feel tired. At first, the quiet feels peaceful, but too much quiet can turn into isolation. Fewer conversations mean fewer chances to laugh, to share, to feel connected. Human connection keeps life light. When connection becomes limited, heaviness settles in. There is also the shift in identity. For years, you were known by your role: manager, teacher, parent, provider. Now, you are often described simply as retired, senior, elderly. Those words do not capture who you truly are. Inside, you still feel like the same person who once ran after children, worked long hours, and made bold decisions. But society interacts with you differently, sometimes with respect, sometimes with impatience. Adjusting to that difference requires emotional strength. Time feels different too. When you were 30, life seemed endless. At 50, it felt structured. After 70, time feels precious. You become more aware that years are limited. That awareness is not always frightening, but it changes how you experience days. Moments feel more fragile. You think about legacy. You think about whether you have done enough, said enough, loved enough. Awareness of time deepens everything, and depth carries weight. Yet here is something important. Heavy does not mean hopeless. Heavy does not mean empty. Sometimes heavy means meaningful. You carry decades of experience, lessons, relationships, and stories. You have survived difficulties that younger generations cannot imagine. You have built a life. Of course it feels heavier. You are carrying a lifetime. Perhaps life after 70 is not meant to feel light and fast. Perhaps it is meant to feel thoughtful and slow. Slower days give space for reflection. Reflection gives depth, and depth gives wisdom. And wisdom is never weightless. So if life feels heavier now, it may not be a sign of decline. It may be a sign of awareness, awareness of change, awareness of value, awareness of what truly matters. Instead of asking, "Why am I not as light as before?" you might ask, "What is this stage asking of me?" Maybe it asks for gentleness instead of speed, patience instead of pressure, acceptance instead of comparison. You are not becoming smaller, you are becoming deeper, and depth always feels heavier than surface living. So if you wake up tomorrow and feel that quiet weight again, remember this: it does not mean you are failing. It means you are carrying history, love, lessons, and time itself. And even heavy things can still be beautiful. If this message feels close to your heart, you are not alone. Many others feel the same weight, and sometimes simply knowing that makes the load a little easier to carry.